Hey guys, welcome to my first drive video on the brand new 2020 Audi RS4. I say brand new, it's actually more of a mild facelift over the 2018 and 2019 model, but we'll have a look into that shortly. Before we start, I just want to say a massive shout out and thanks for all the support in 2020 so far. The views, the subscriber count have literally been going through the roof, so thank you so much. I also want to say that I hope you and your families are safe with this horrible COVID-19 virus going around. All I can do is wish you good luck, and hopefully I can entertain you with some of my videos through these dark times. Right, let's have a quick walk around this car before taking it out on the road. Similar to the recently facelifted A4 and diesel S4 range, the RS4 now comes with an updated front end and an updated rear end. So we've got the new single frame grille on the front here. Being an RS4, it's slightly wider. We've got matrix LED headlamps available. And in fact, when you come around the side of it here, it's a very sleek front end. And it reminds me very much of the R8 and in fact the RS6 and the RS7 that I've recently had. So it's kind of changed the front end, makes the car look very similar to the rest of the range if you like. But then when you walk around the side, it's still undoubtedly an RS4, and in fact from the side, to me at least, it looks exactly the same as a 2018 and a 2019 car. Nice control and shift sticker there. When you get around the back of the car again, you've got restyled rear light units, and I think the bumper and maybe the diffuser is slightly different to the old car. The spec on this particular car, well, it's a UK press car, so it's very highly spec'd. Base price on these on the road is about £68,000 here in the UK, and this one is a smidge under £82,000, but we'll talk more about some of those options once we get it on the road. Beautiful paintwork is Tango Red. I absolutely love it. I think it looks fantastic, and it contrasts really well with all the black styling bits on this particular car. Other updates on this facelift RS4 extend to the interior. It's all very familiar in here, and I'd say it's 95% the same. But what has changed, just like it has in the facelifted A4 and S4, is the MMI controller has gone from down there and it's been replaced with a completely useless tiny ashtray. And we've got a much bigger 10.1 inch touchscreen display, which is really cool. The graphics on there are really nice, it works very well, but it would be nice if they'd kept the controller, in my opinion, because that kind of limits you. But unlike a lot of the new A6s, A7s, etc., we've still got some lovely manual analog climate control buttons and dials down there. Also, we've got an updated virtual cockpit. So this has got the new RS virtual cockpit, and we've got the RS button now on the familiar RS4 steering wheel. So they've added an extra button there, again, to put it in line with the rest of the new RS6 and RS7s. Everything else in here is just lovely, as it was in last year's RS4. It's also got some carbon interior trim. This has got the all-important panoramic sunroof. Opening the back, it's pretty practical in here. Obviously, it's not as big as an RS6, but actually with these Audi Supersport seats, and that's my driving position, I can actually get in the back without too many issues. So you could get 4 6-foot+ adults in here without too many issues. Go around the back and we'll open the electric tailgate. Massive boot, as you'd expect in here. Really nice. Lots of useful underfloor storage as well. You can see I've got my camera and stuff in there. Plenty of space. Obviously the seats fold down. We've got a 40-20-40 split there. Nice big parcel shelf, and just really nice little handy storage bins and stuff all around this car, which make it very practical. It's my camera bag. That is a control and shift hoodie, which are back in stock now. I know I'm plugging away, but these times are hard and I'm making absolutely no money with my chauffeuring business at the moment, so any support is massively welcome. Right, what I think we should do now is start the car up so you can hear what it sounds like idle, and then take it out for a quick drive before that sun sets over there, because I'm running out of time. I'm going to start this first drive video in full comfort because this car does such a good job at being a comfortable normal car when you want it to be. It's got adaptive ride or magnetic ride or whatever Audi call it these days, which basically means when you're in comfort the dampers are softened up and it just makes light work of some of these tragic roads that I'm surrounded by. But yet when you put it into what is now the RS1 or RS2 mode, everything stiffens up and the car turns into a real sports car. But we'll talk more about that a bit later in the video. We've got the lovely ZF 8-speed gearbox, which is calibrated really well in this particular car. And it brings back a lot of memories as to why I love this particular RS4 so much. In fact, the first press launch and drive I actually had with Audi UK was when the 2018 Audi RS4 came out. I remember it like it was yesterday, January 2018. I absolutely love that car. And then about 6 months after that, so about 18 months ago, I had that beautiful Sonoma green RS4. I had that for a week and I absolutely fell in love with that car. I thought its breadth of ability was amazing. So obviously I knew this was going to be a good car, but I haven't been in one for a while, and obviously jumping out of the RS7 recently, which was £110,000 worth, and the RS6 just prior to that, I thought maybe I would be a little bit disappointed with this car because those two might have overshadowed it, but not one bit. Let's remind ourselves what's under the bonnet. We've got Audi's 2.9 litre V6 twin turbo. Now when that engine appeared a couple of years ago, a lot of the sort of die-hard V8 people were a bit disappointed with it because the RS4 before this one and the one before that both had that glorious 4.2 litre V8, which was naturally aspirated. This one has got two turbos feeding it, and I thought it was incredible when I tried it 2 years ago, and I'm still blown away by it now. They haven't upped the output. It's still 444 brake horsepower and 600 newton meters of torque, which is plenty enough for this particular car. In fact, it doesn't feel much slower than the new RS6, and the reason for that really is the fact that this car is 1700-ish kilos, which is about 300 kilos, or 3 of me, lighter than the new RS6. So that's when you start to understand why this car feels, in my opinion, far more agile, almost as quick, even though its power figures etc don't suggest that it is. It has a 0 to 62 mile an hour claim figure of 4.1 seconds, and this particular car has had its limiter lifted to 174 miles an hour, and I'm in no doubt that if that limiter was taken away altogether, this is probably 190 mile an hour station wagon or Avant, whatever you want to call it. It is just fantastic. As we're coming onto a national speed limit road, now I'm going to press the RS mode button twice, which brings up RS2. I've got the sports gearbox engaged, but I'm going to put it over into manual, as I do with all these cars when I'm pushing on. I'm going to back off the traction control a bit more as well. So there you go, change it into third. Now remember, this is a 2020 car, so it is cluttered up with lots of filters, but to me it sounds every bit as good as the non-facelift car, which is bizarre. But let's take it out for a little bit of a spirited drive. It's very quick, and it just goes about its business very, very well and very easily. I can feel the car is a lot stiffer now. Now I don't have to have it as stiff as this. I can preset my RS buttons to whatever settings I want, but I'm going to get the full effect on these awful roads that I'm surrounded by, and it just feels great. It feels so sure-footed. It feels far more engaging and fun than the RS6 and the RS7, in my opinion. But there is a caveat on that, and that is the fact that both the RS6 and the RS7 I've driven recently have been on winter tyres, and they do make a huge difference to sort of characteristics of handling and stuff. Even though I still think this car is just brilliant. It feels just so great, so alive and so agile. And the brakes, oh yes, wow, does it stop well. These are the standard regular steel brakes. You can get carbon ceramics for it, but this with some carbon ceramics on it, can you imagine how expensive the on-the-road price would be, seeing as this one's 82 grand already? Gearbox is just great, the way it smashes through the gears, but at the same time you knock it back into 8th gear. Now I'm doing 60 miles an hour and I'm doing 1400-ish RPM, so in terms of miles to the gallon it's really, really good on the long run if you're not booting it everywhere. But it's very hard to get in this car and not put your foot down all the time, because it's very addictive. It really is. It makes a good sound, a nice throaty sound. And when you've got the windows down, when it's not so cold outside and you've got your sunroof open, because you're going to spec one of these pan roofs. Oh yes, you've got to spec one of these pan roofs. Then you get all of the sound in here. This has got the sports exhaust as well, which obviously enhances the sound a little bit more. Let's just try a cheeky little launch control here. So we're talking 0 to 62 in a claimed 4.1 seconds, but it feels quicker than that to me. I've got the traction control backed off slightly because I think that helps it get off the line, doesn't bog it down. Right, here we go. And go. 60. Wow. Honestly, that 0 to 30, 0 to 40, it definitely feels quicker than anything, even like an M5 competition up to about 30 or 40 miles an hour. It is really, really quick, like savagely fast. That's so impressive. I love the gearbox in this. How can Audi get it so right in some cars, but yet the same gearbox get it so wrong in other calibrations, like the A6 Allroad? I don't understand. And the same with the throttle response. It just feels so good in this car. I mean, maybe it's just down to that engine, that 2.9 litre V6 twin turbo, which in fact is now the engine that Porsche put in the very latest Macan turbo. Not many people talk about that, but that's the same engine that, you know, the RS4's had for a couple of years. So it just shows you that, I think, although we know they're kind of the same group, if Porsche are using this engine in one of their turbo cars, albeit the Macan turbo, it does bode well for people with RS5s and RS4s. Oh, listen to that. Let's just talk about the handling quickly. Well, the handling feels great. As I discovered back in 2018, it's rear wheel bias. I think about 60% of the power naturally goes to the back, and you do feel it out of slow corners in second gear and stuff. You feel it wanting to rotate a little bit, just like I found with the RS6 in the snow. It really does rotate, which is just great. Like, you know, gone are the days of Audi steer, well, especially in this setup. This has got the proper quattro system, unlike, say, the RS3. It just feels great, it really does. I absolutely, I love this car. I think it's brilliant, I really do. It's so effortless. It's just so effortless. people have asked me what it's like compared to the M340i Touring. Now, you've got to remember that's a big price difference. A base M340i Touring is about 49 grand. A base one of these about 68, so there's £20,000 worth of difference. So obviously this is a better car, but it's £20,000 more expensive, and I'm sure if we're talking monthlies, it's probably £200 a month more, maybe even higher than that. So you can't really compare those two. You could compare this to, say, an Alpina B3 Touring, and I haven't been lucky enough to get my hands on one of them, so when I do, I'll have something to compare it against. Just quickly talk about the interior updates before it gets completely dark outside. What's it like? Well, the new screen, it's very big. I have to say it's almost too big, but the graphics and stuff, as we talked about earlier on, are really nice. You know, it's a touch screen. I'm a bit anti-touch screen. Would be nice if you could control it through a MMI controller down here, but you can't. I think this whole center console is just badly designed. The drink holders are a bit useless for bigger drinks. This little new cubby hole that replaces where the MMI controller is completely useless. You can put the car key in there and that's about it. So I think they just need to redesign all that, and I'm sure they will with the next generation of A4 and RS4. But I really like all the climate controls and the buttons down here. I love this layout in general. I think it's just really nice. Steering wheel's lovely. It's lovely to hold. It's not too thick. The buttons on here are lovely. I've got the RS button in here now. The virtual cockpit is updated, so I've got all the new RS displays up there, which are nice. You know, again, it's an £82,000 A4 and it doesn't have a head-up display. That frustrates me. These seats are lovely, as I've talked about in the past, but unfortunately in the smaller RS3 and this RS4, they're just too small for someone of my height. So I'm 6'4" and I'm just too big. If I sit upright, my head is well over the top of that backrest. But for someone of about 5'9", 5'10", they are perfect, and they are lovely, comfortable and supportive seats. They're just not designed for the bigger chap like me, unfortunately. Okay guys, before I sign off, I just want to wish you all the best and your families with this horrible coronavirus going around. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you at the next one.